welcome to this week's Check-in Rest session. My name is Talent and I work with Transformation Team Zimbabwe. So today we're going to be talking about being kinder to yourself. This year's theme on Mental Health Awareness Week was being kinder to others, and I just thought, why not extend this to ourselves? We also need to be kinder to the one person that we live with our entire lives, that is us. So to start with, I'm just going to pose a few questions, and I hope this will help us to understand the kind of relationship we have with ourselves, and for us to understand it better, and for us to check on what it is that we can improve on. So my first question is, who are you? Who is that person that you're left with when the gadgets are switched off, when the Wi-Fi is off, when your friends are gone? Who is the person that you're left with? Who are you? You need to understand this. I know it's a question that is asked a lot, but we need to really answer it. Who are you? And are you truly able to see and understand yourself? Can you see yourself? Can you understand yourself? And that is very important, because I noticed some people really doubt their own existence, and sometimes we question it. Am I alive? Is this really happening? Am I not just a figment of someone's imagination? And sometimes we don't really acknowledge our existence until it's very late in life and we cannot do much about it. So you need to be able to understand and see yourself. Seeing yourself is very important. What fears haunt you? What are you scared of? Why are you scared of it? What happened to you that contributed to the fear that you now have? So you need to be able to answer that as well. And what are your insecurities? So we find out that we talk about insecurities a lot when we're talking about relationships, but we forget that they extend to our life in general. So what are they? What are our insecurities, and what are the effects that they have on our lives? And the last question is, are you honest with yourself? So when you are talking to yourself, are you being truthful? Are you telling the story like it happened? Are you honest? So you also need to check if you're not seeing things from the surface level. Are you going beneath the surface? And I hope you'll be able to answer these few questions honestly and truthfully, and it will help you establish how you've been treating yourself, what you've been doing, and if or not you really understand yourself. So in order for you to be kind to yourself, we find that you need to live a life with purpose. You need to understand why you exist. You need to state that into everything that you do. You are happiest and most fulfilled when you understand what your natural talents are, when you understand your characteristics, and when you understand what your contributive aspects are. So when you really set out to find out your purpose, you are unlocking a lot of things about yourself that you might have not known before, and this can help you in treating yourself better. And so since you're talking about being kinder, we are just going to discuss how you can be able to do it. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is hyping negative situations. So yes, bad things happen, negative things happen, but when you try to be careful to make sure that you do not overhype the situations. You do not give them a lot of attention. You do not give them a lot of your time, and that you do not give them the attraction that they don't deserve. Sometimes you say you've been affected by something, and when you're saying it, that is not the way it has affected you, but you're just hyping it, and it ends up actually affecting you in that way. Like, say someone has left your life. Now, I don't see myself as worth of love. You can actually end up seeing yourself in that way if you overhype that situation. So try not to do that. It is only a disservice, if anything. Train your inner monologue to be kind instead of being harsh. So I mentioned talking to yourself, because we think all day, we process a lot of thoughts, and when we do, especially when they are mostly negative, it can actually trickle down to it being the way of our life, and we can get depressed sometimes, and we cannot pick up why, but it is just because of the way we are thinking. And so our inner monologues need to be very positive and kind and not harsh, because they can determine how we turn out every day. So do not be overly critical of yourself. It's okay to be critical of your actions. It's okay to assess how you're doing, but do not do it in a way that crashes your spirit, that crashes your esteem. Try not to overly be critical, but try to have a healthy, balanced way of doing it. okay, I'm not saying do not criticize your actions. You should hold yourself accountable, but when you're doing it, try doing it in a healthy, balanced way. What happened? What could I have done? What am I going to do next time, so that I make sure that I don't repeat the same mistake, if it is a mistake that you're trying to deal with. Do not discredit your own achievements. Learn to celebrate yourself. You should be your biggest cheerleader. Before anyone else tells you that you're awesome, which you are, before anyone else does that, try to tell yourself the same thing as well. Because even you find that sometimes people will say nice things about you, and you find it difficult to accept them or to believe them, because in your head there are no such things. In your life there are no such things where you motivate yourself. So be in a position where it is so easy for you to relate with praise, because you do that with yourself. Do not overdo it lest you get a big head, but try to motivate yourself as much as you can. So I noticed that when someone says you did really good, my first response is anyone could have done it, or it wasn't that hard. But I actually did it, and I actually succeeded in doing whatever that thing is. So it's really good for you to motivate yourself, for you to acknowledge when you've succeeded in life. That way you find out that you are breeding positivity within you, and ultimately you're being kinder to yourself. So when you're making decisions, you need to check on what is influencing those decisions. Is it past experiences that can be bad? Is it past experiences? Is it your emotions at the time? Are you okay? Are you happy? Are you sad? Is it fear? So if you let negative experiences, if you let negative emotions, if you let fear determine what you do, you might end up not being open to new experiences altogether. So do not stop yourself from having new experiences, and also make sure you're making decisions being motivated by things that are correct. So by mentioning these three, I mean that they actually can determine how your decisions go, how your decisions turn out. So you need to just check on where it's coming from. Pay attention to issues that could be beyond your control. So sometimes things do not work out the way we want them to, because there are other issues at play that are really beyond our control. Suppose you're trying to start a business right now. There is the exchange rate to think about, there is the lockdown to think about, there is the effect of COVID-19 to think about. So yes, you're failing, but there are other issues that could be beyond your control, because you might have you might have done everything necessary to start the business, but it just didn't work out, because there are other factors that are beyond your control. So before you overly criticize yourself, try to look at the issues that are beyond your control. It will help you in seeing yourself positively and not as a failure. How you handle your mistakes as well and failures. So yes, the business did not start off the way you would have expected it to. So how are you handling that? How are you handling that failure? Or you've realized that it's a mistake you made that made it impossible for you to succeed. So how are you handling that? Are you killing yourself in your head? Are you crashing your head? What are you doing after realizing that things didn't happen the way you wanted them to because of your mistake? So how you handle your mistakes and failures is also another way of being kinder to yourself. So do not be rigid as a person. And everything cannot be within your control. It's okay to think so, but then it doesn't have to be the fact. Everything cannot be under your control. So you find that sometimes people grow out of you, people leave, things change. These are things that you need to also be paying attention to. Do not be a rigid person. Be flexible enough to know when it is time to move, to know when it is time to give up. And try not to compare yourself with others. Even people turn out differently, because we all have different experiences in life, we all have different interactions, and we turn out differently. So you might have been exposed to the same environment, but how you turn out will be different. Like, take for example me and my brother. He's into marketing, I'm into community development, but we had the same parents, we had the same environment to grow up in, but we turned out differently. So there is really no point for me to be comparing myself with him, because I don't know what motivated him. I don't have the same experience with life as he has, even though I come from the same environment. So maybe what we can do is draw motivation and inspiration. Like, if he had it difficult as much as I did and he made it, so maybe that means I can also make it. But at the same time, I need to be realistic about my goals. I need to not overstate my abilities, and I need to not to underestimate my abilities. So try not to compare yourself with other people. Just do the best that you can in everything that you're doing. And the last thing that I'm going to be talking about is motivating yourself. Instead of pouring water on your plans, be your cheerleader. Try as much as you can. Try as much as you can to cheer yourself on. Because sometimes failure starts in your mind before it manifests. So try to cheer yourself as much as you can so that you actually see the need to do things. And when other people are cheering you on, it will make sense. It will make sense because you've already had that conversation, you've already believed it. And so when you are trying not to pour water on your own plans, you are being kind to yourself. You are allowing yourself room to actually grow. So try to do that as much as you can. So I just need to say this. Being kind to yourself is not allowing for your responsibility. We're not saying do not hold yourself accountable. Like when I said try not to overly criticize yourself, I'm not saying do not hold yourself accountable. You need to, but just check the way you're doing it. Are you doing it in a healthy way? Are you doing it in a positive way? Are you not breeding negativity? So be kind to yourself, hold yourself accountable, and be responsible at the same time. Because it doesn't mean that since we expect you to forgive yourself as much as possible, you are allowed to make a lot of mistakes. No, that's not what it means. It means just try to do the best that you can, at the same time allowing room for mistakes. Okay. So my encouragement to you is eat healthy food, try to exercise as much as you can, and get enough sleep. That way you will work at your most optimum, and check on yourself, your emotions. That's why we have these sessions where we say you need to check in with yourself, and we also help you through the process by having these videos where you can learn a thing or two about checking in, about taking care of yourself emotionally. And how you are with yourself will influence how you are with others. So if you are kind to yourself, you can be kind to other people. If you are happy with yourself, you can be happy with other people. If you breed positivity, you can spread it. If you are kind, you can then spread kindness like confetti. So that is my encouragement for you today. Please try to be as kind as you can to yourself. Motivate yourself, cheer yourself on, and do not dwell on negativity. Thank you, and check us out next week.